So Australians are obsessed with reducing tax, minimizing costs in this country for some reason. But really, we should be obsessed with creating wealth, building wealth. So in this video, I'm going to go over why paying more tax is a good sign. Let's get into it. So one of the biggest things I've noticed since I started making like finance related like TikTok videos is a lot of people will go straight into the comments and start arguing with me about tax, bruh, but you're paying more tax, bruh. You just pay tax on all this. Because a lot of videos that I made is about real estate, your personal principal place of residence, which is tax-free, versus the stock market, right? And we're going to get into that a bit later. But for now, let's just talk about why tax isn't a bad thing. So if you're paying more tax, you've made more money. So no shit, you pay tax, right? Tax isn't the enemy. It's a part of investing. If you're paying more tax, you're making more money. If you made $1 million and paid $300,000 in tax, so you take home 700 grand, would you rather have made 60 grand and paid no tax? A lot of people on TikTok will probably say yes, because that place is, it's the place where brains go to die, unfortunately. Grey matter degradation, if you will. So obviously you wouldn't. So tax is not the enemy. It's just an inevitable part of investing here in Australia or anywhere in the world. Yes, don't get me wrong. Obviously it sucks. The government's slimy bastards. With all these changes, they've screwed the budget and they just want to tax everybody at every possible turn. But it's out of our control. If you decide to continue living in Australia, unfortunately, all we have to do is vote the other way, and that's all we can really do. But in the meantime, we have to just keep on keeping on. So let's talk about principal place of residence, which is tax-free. It's a fantastic asset, being able to have all that wealth tied into your house, but it's tax-free when you sell. That's great. The issue is when you sell, then what? Where's that money going to go? Is it going to go into another house that you buy, the next house, the next upgrade, the lifestyle upgrade? Or you're downsizing, so it's going to go into another house, and then you've got a bunch of extra cash that maybe you can put into investment property, which then becomes a taxable asset, or the stock market, which is also a taxable asset. So for me personally, I sold my principal place of residence because I felt that I could take that equity that I had built in it over a couple of years and invest it into a more productive asset class such as the stock market and grow my wealth more over time in the future, hopefully, God willing. And so when I tell people that I sold my principal place of residence, they often look at me with a bit of disgust, subtle disgust. Oh, really? Why would you do that? As if it's some kind of silly idea or silly decision. But I believe long term, personally, it's better to have your money invested in actual investments that produce cash flow, aka the stock market, right? Growing businesses rather than in a primary place of residence where it's just sitting there. I personally just choose simple, globally diversified, conservatively leveraged ETF portfolio. Most of my wealth's in GHHF, which you can go on Google and research what that is. Another reason I prefer the stock market is I can dollar cost average. I can constantly add money to it. You can't DCA into a house. Once you buy your house, that's it. That's the price that you bought it at. And you better hope that it was at the start of the cycle and at the right time in the right suburb. You better hope that it was the right purchase. Because it's not like the stock market where you can just continually contribute to it every week, every month from your salary. Just keep DCAing in, always be buying. If the share market's down, boom, you can put more in. You can get more because the shares are at a discount. If it's up, you keep buying no matter what. As long as you're just constantly exposed to the market, the overall return over the long term, you will get that overall market return. There is research that shows that if you simply miss 10 best days in the stock market, your overall return is lowered by a significant amount. So you just need to be exposed in the market, even through all the crashes, so that you can experience that recovery. That's where the gains happen. A lot of the biggest gain days in the market happen straight after the recoveries. So my goal is increase my income, grow my asset portfolio, and let tax just be a part of the equation. Right? Think 15 years down the track. Let's say I've got a $5 million share portfolio. Wow, incredible. Let's say this portfolio grows at the average stock market return of about, hypothetically, historically, 9% a year. It's growing at 450k a year, right? I could sell 100k of that to fund my yearly expenses. Go on a holiday, do whatever, not have to work, right? Obviously, I'm going to pay tax on that. But yes, it's inevitable. Now, these share portfolios also spit out dividends, which is just taxed as income tax. So you may not even need to sell any shares. If you're in high quality dividend ETFs or stocks, you can potentially get a 5% yield. That's like 300 grand a year in passive income without selling anything. But even still, that portfolio just continues to grow. So selling 100k of it isn't really going to affect it that much. And I don't let tax dictate my investing strategy, because we don't know the future. A new government could come in and change the rules. They could revert it all back. Who knows? So the best strategy is to just keep on keeping on. Keep contributing to investment portfolios, dollar cost averaging in over time from salary, which if you live in Australia, you pretty much already are dollar cost averaging, because we get set up with superannuation here in Australia, which is basically invested into the stock market indexes, global indexes, and our employers contribute to it every month on a recurring basis, regardless of the price, because we invest in the overall economies. We invest in the whole country, not single stocks. You buy the entire index, so you're buying the whole world, essentially, the global companies of the world. And that's essentially dollar cost averaging, which I also do outside of super into my own personal share portfolio. That has a little bit of leverage, a little bit of spice, because I'm a little degen at heart, right? I was a bit fiendish in crypto back in the 2020 era, but I digress. That's a whole nother video. So I'd much rather pay more tax because I've made more money than pay no tax because I made nothing. This isn't financial advice. I'm talking to a black hole. Pause. So I don't know the other person on the other side of that black hole. I don't know you or your personal situation. This is just informational content, research that I've accumulated over the years of looking into the world of investing.